Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Welcome back to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I am Sam.
And I hope you enjoyed last week's episode on just how we survive lockdown and kept busy as actors. Today, we're going to talk you through what we're watching on TV and give you some key takeouts as actors. And don't wait for parts, why that mantra is strong with us. Now, update, quickly. Make sure you subscribe because next week we're interviewing Christiaan van Vuuren, an actor, writer and director, better known for Bondi Hipsters fame. And Sammy, in huge news, in the coming weeks, an interview with director Sam Hargrave from the set of Extraction 2. So
there's that drop. Yeah, very
be sure to subscribe wherever you're getting your podcast from because you don't want to miss a minute of what we've got coming up for you. Sammy, I'm comfortable here. Actually, I got my carrot and ginger juice. I'm comfy. I'm ready to. I'm pretending I'm healthy basically because a few regrets coming out of lockdown. One of them is the lack of exercise.
Not eating healthy, yeah. Oh, lack of exercise, sorry.
I blame
mine is not eating healthy.
I'm blaming the pandemic for everything, basically. So, yeah.
I have my chamomile tea, which
okay.
I just burnt my tongue on before we started recording.
Oh, too hot. Too bad.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yes.
What have you been watching?
Yeah, let's keep going. What have I been watching?
Yes.
Oh,
what's kept you through lockdown? And do you binge? Are you a binger?
I'm such a binger, and the ironic thing is that I don't have binge, but I am a binger. I like asking me what have I watched. This will cover. Let's release 4 podcasts on this. I think so many things. I'm watching Manifest at the moment. It's a TV show.
Right.
It's about bunch of people. Generally, it focuses around a kind of family dynamic and then moves to other people as well. So it's about a bunch of people who get on a plane from Jamaica back to New York, and their families kind of split up a bit just because one plane didn't have enough seats, so a couple of them stayed back and went on a later flight. Anyway, the point is that they fly back home. For them, it feels like 3 hours. They land, and it's been 5.5 years.
I just got to say, I'm loving what? 5.5 years.
So for them, it feels like 3 hours and nothing's changed. They land. They're like, "What's going on? There's all these sirens." Blah blah blah.
That's a great premise for a story, but just quietly, because we haven't been able to fly overseas for a couple of years. I'm noticing even on my YouTube selections, I'm watching more of these flight reviews and stuff, just dreaming that I can still travel.
Oh, yeah?
So a show based around flying.
After watching this, you won't want to fly.
Oh, really?
To be honest, I'm not a fan of flying. I feel claustrophobic with so many people and you're breathing the same air and it's just, short flights are okay. But
it's hard when you're not in first class all the time.
Yeah, like you, Max, of course, yes.
The pointy end.
One day, I'll go first class one day. It'll be like an hour flight to like Tasmania or something. I'll be like, nah, let's go to first class.
Save all your points.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's a cool TV show and it draws you in. It's super cool. Okay. It starts a bit slow, but then you get into it and then there's this whole mystical aspect, but it's kind of crime solving as well, and I think it's built really well because you're connected to all these different passengers as well,
right,
from the flight, and they come into the story, and so that's a pretty cool show I'm watching.
Okay.
I also watched. Or do you want to jump back and forth between shows we've watched?
I don't mind. For me, one that piqued my interest was Mare of Easttown with Kate Winslet.
Okay.
A couple of Aussie actors in there as well, Guy Pearce and Gary Rice. It's one of these shows that kind of crept up on me. It's on cable TV here, and I don't know, maybe I missed it, but it didn't seem like there was a whole lot promoting it. But all of a sudden it was there, and I watched the first episode, and the characters are all so rich. It was really easy to sort of be drawn into the world. It really and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and the script was done. It's so smartly, like they, not 1,000 words to describe everything and set up every scene. It's just it's
Yeah.
done really smartly. It sort of presumes that the audience aren't stupid and we don't need to be spoon fed everything. And I kind of like the way it sort of
Those are
it
the
grows
best
on
films.
you. Yeah. So
Is it a show or a film?
No, it's a television series.
Cool.
It's on Foxtel here in Australia, and but one I've been looking forward to and would absolutely binge if I could. But it came out in weekly installments. Yellowstone. Love Yellowstone.
Yes.
Someone put me onto it after, well, just about when the second series had dropped, and I found myself binging it and also wanting to go horse riding. But I'm like, just once you get to know the characters, it's really interesting how the storylines sort of unfold. And then in pops
Is it Kevin Costner?
Yes, Kevin Costner, and in pops Jackie Weaver in the latest series. Aussie actress from Animal Kingdom fame. Yeah, fantastic. So
we met a good friend of hers, interviewed her, didn't we?
We
Kate
did.
Fitzpatrick.
We did, Kate Fitzpatrick. But I have to say, Yellowstone, it's been so rich for storylines. They've spun off another series, 1883.
The prequel.
So it's kind of, the founding moments of the farm, because they're literally going across from one side of America to the next. So it's interesting. I don't find it quite as engaging as the Yellowstone, but I'm sort of, I'm kind of getting into it. But interestingly, the writer and showrunner Taylor Sheridan also started another series, Mare of Kingstown, with Jeremy Renner. And I've absolutely loved that one. Really good. Diane West is in it as well. Really, really smartly written. It's really sharp, the script. I really love it. Great characters. I think that's on one of the streamers here in Australia, Mare of Kingstown. It might be Amazon Prime, maybe. But I can't remember. I get so confused because I've got so many streaming subscriptions at the moment. But again, that's another one that's sort of dropped with weekly episodes.
Too many.
One season, and everyone's hanging to find out the second season. But one thing that I'm absolutely happy to admit that I binged, Ozark. I absolutely I'm hanging there. I'm refreshing Netflix, waiting for it to drop. Like I'm looking on the day at the time. I'm like, any second now.
Refreshing Netflix.
I know, right? Who does that? And then I'm like, in a minute. It's the day. Come on. And then I'm obviously now hanging like everyone else around the world for the other half of season 4 to drop. Can't wait.
Have you seen the TV show The Great?
Who's in The Great?
So Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, yes.
Nicholas Hoult plays Peter the Great's son,
right,
of Russia.
Is this the one Elle Fanning's in?
Yeah, Elle Fanning.
Yeah, that's. I'm thinking of the right one, aren't I?
I think you are. Hold on.
Brilliant.
Elle Fanning is in it as well, and she's American, and I didn't realize that because her accent's pretty cool. Right. Very posh, very back in that time sort of accent. But it is brilliant. It is so good. Jess started watching it, and then she got me into it. I was like, no, I don't like period shows that much. And then she explained that it's satirical. Super cleverly written show, I think. There's a lot of modern swearing, modern language. They all have British accents, even though Elle Fanning's character, Catherine the Great, is from Austria, I think. And then it's set in Russia. They all have British accents. It doesn't matter. So it's super funny, super satirical, super... it's quite violent as well. But we just got stuck in and we binged that. And we're just waiting for the next season to come out. I'd recommend that to anyone. And I'm one of those people who don't enjoy period pieces that much. So
they're not cheap to make period pieces, but that one is one that's on my list. Yeah,
it's a good one, and I'd suggest it. It's a good mixture of. It's almost black comedy in some sections of it, but I've been saying it multiple times. I think the best word to describe it is satirical. And it's like some parts of it is based in truth, and it's stylistic, and they're wearing kind of big French kind of fashion. So it's all a mixture of all these different things. It's awesome. I also watched, and Disney films, I think, are very well written, but they're not always written for adults, obviously. But I watched Soul. Have you seen Soul?
No.
I'd suggest that's got Jamie Foxx in it as the lead.
Okay. And
I think it's brilliant because it's about a ambitious musician, and it's in the trailer, but he pretty much dies, and you see his soul. So it's kind of a play on words a little bit because soul music and all that. Yeah, and I just cried at the end so much. I could not contain myself. And I'm like, this is a Disney film. But it was well done.
Disney put the hooks into you.
Yeah, it speaks on purpose, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, your purpose in living doesn't have to be an actual specific purpose. Your purpose can just be living. Just enjoy the one life you have. And I think it's really, really cool. And what Disney did was, when you saw him as a soul, it was more animated kind of style. And then Disney made it quite a realistic looking animation when he was on Earth kind of thing, when he was himself and you see all the other humans. It's really well done. Almost looks live action in that sense, all the lighting and the atmosphere and all that. So I think it's probably one of my favorite Disney films now of all time.
The technology is amazing, the way they can bring animated characters to life.
Yeah, awesome. And all these tools now to create lighting that looks real, because we never used to have that. So people's skin, like animated skin or CGI skin, would look plastic. Yeah. Now we know that light passes through skin and gives that ready color, or you create a world and how shadows bounce off other specific
I've
materials.
seen the
behind
the scenes stuff of even like Monsters Inc., where to get the fur, all the bits of fur to move, and the grass and the trees, that like nature's really tough. But anyway, yeah, no, it's amazing. It takes forever to do, but it's amazing.
Yeah,
I know, 'cause I think
I watch it.
The last time I spoke to someone it was a Q&A, and I can't remember what it's for now, but an industry thing. Back in the day, we were able to meet up, and from one of the big production houses, whether it's a Pixar or Disney, I can't remember, but the Australian arm, talking about how it took 2.5 years to make one of those Disney type films. The animated ones just go for so long, and hundreds of 300 people across 3 offices in North America and also Canada and Sydney to pull off that sort of, like, it's amazing.
You look at those visual effects credits at the end of films, and it's just keeps going, and there's multiple companies, and it's just names everywhere. It's so much work, because you get one company to do this many scenes or this particular effect or whatever, and then you do another one.
Army of people across 2 continents, army of people to bring it to life over a couple of years. And of course, all the actors, when they do get to come in, you're all recorded independently of each other. So it's not as though you get to react and act and in the room.
Yeah.
You probably meet the cast for the first time at the premiere. Yeah,
well, exactly, yeah. Especially with that stuff. And I did work experience at Animal Logic when I was in year 10. And they're in the midst of doing Lego Movie and stuff, and they were just doing one part of it. And you've got this massive building, these massive processes for the computers and all this team, and they're just doing one part of this massive film. It's incredible how much work goes into that stuff.
I've got enough trouble just editing my show reel every now and then, but that just does my head in, trying to think of all the stuff that's involved.
Just send it off to heaps of companies, see what happens. They can all edit your show reel for you.
Well, I think one thing we've touched on in the past too is when it comes to the work schedule for TV, because one minute you're auditioning 50 worders or lead or supporting in television shows, and the next thing you know, when you get over the line, you're thrown into a really tight and heavy work schedule, particularly if your character's featured. You know, you're in a few episodes. And some of the changes arrive late too sometimes, so you don't always get a lot of time to rehearse, and you get changes coming late, and you just got to be ready to rock and roll. You can't really the budget's not there. You know, the pilot, the first series, to be able to wait on you when you're in the right mindset and you've got the latest changes down pat and all the rest of it. It's just a full-on heavy work. I think with the feedback we're getting sort of consistently too is that, you know, you've just got to be prepared, because that's something you can control. And if you're as prepared as possible from the moment, you know, you really understand your character and your character's overall motivations, then as you get each, like the sides for each episode, and you actually, you know, you're able to navigate why your character's in this scene, what they want out of it, and you know, you're prepared to try it different ways. When changes come in at the last minute, and that they kind of will just slide in, it's not really going to change, hopefully, you know, the narrative too much, and you can be a bit more flexible, both in dealing with things that happen at the last minute, but also embracing things that happen at the last minute and improvising.
Exactly. The more you know your character, the more you're prepared, the more real and natural that character will look, because you can then play with that, and the improv is where all the natural comes from, or the little mannerisms here and there that you bring in when you feel most comfortable. Like, if you don't know your character, then it's going to look fake as hell.
That's it. And I think what helped me when I did a few nights in the play was, I mean, apart from the rehearsals, you know, you're keeping work fit. You know, you're auditioning, you're constantly looking at scripts, you're constantly analysing scripts. It just helps then, like, it's not a massive change when suddenly you've got to do a few shows back to back. It's not a huge pull out of your comfort zone. So staying work fit however you can, and then putting the work in when you've got the part to really make sure you're prepped, because things are always going to happen last minute. There's always going to be changes. There's always going to be problems that need to be solved or whatever, and it's great to be a part of the solution and go, no dramas. I can do that. No problems. I can learn 15 minutes in 15-minute monologue in a few minutes. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Jumping back real quick to like knowing your character.
Yes.
I remember hearing this awesome quote. I'm going to paraphrase completely, but it was pretty much, don't hate your character. Like, even if they're this disgusting person, you as the actor can't hate them, because then you're not going to be able to relate to them, because when you become that character, they unless they do, but they don't hate themselves.
Yep.
It's going to be harder. And I found that super interesting, because, you know, you could be playing the worst character ever, you know, like, as in, you could be playing a pedophile. You could be playing so many different awful characters that you personally dislike, but you got to kind of get out of that head zone.
You certainly got to work harder with some than others to find redeeming features.
Yeah, and you got to try and then find, as weird as it sounds, the relatable aspects that you have to this awful character, so then you can actually get in that mindset of being them.
Well, I think the last
really cool
short film I did with Afters was a character that's certainly written, like, domestic violence is in there and he's the perpetrator, and the mental and emotional abuse as well. Like, it just sort of hangs over it all, the alcoholism. And one of the reasons I got the part is because I said, you know, this character, I kind of feel sorry for him in a way. Like, he doesn't wake up every day intending to do harm to his daughter. but he's not equipped with the tools to be able to deal with everything that's happening to him in his life and the passing of his wife and all the rest of it. To be able to deal with that effectively, he's got none of that. So the only outlet is when he loses his temper, whether it's in traffic or to his daughter. It certainly doesn't excuse the behaviour at all, and it's hard to watch. But in order to live as that character, you're right, you've got to find some sort of redeeming features. And even if it is, look, this character's motivation isn't to do harm, it's just a byproduct of who he is. You can sort of look for those layers. You've got to dig deeper and deeper and deeper sometimes to find them, because
it's going to be a more interesting character to watch as well.
Because the director said, look, we're getting people going, oh, I haven't played an arsehole for a while. I love to play an arsehole. This guy's a real... It's like, well, hang on. If that's your only takeaway, he's not a two-dimensional caricature of someone.
Exactly.
Make it real. It's like, oh, police officer, want to play a police officer. No, well, you're playing a character whose job happens to be as a police officer. Like there's layers there. And sometimes if the character is pretty dark, you're looking harder for those redeeming features. But even some of the mannerisms and stuff, I made similar to sort of try and make it a bit easier too. But I tell you what, I did need some nice chill music to come out of that mindset after each day shooting.
You get 100%. You get engulfed in that character. Well, that's why you have all these method actors who find it hard to come out, or it damages them mentally. And when I did the short film Not Today, it was about a kid who committed suicide. There were some intense emotional scenes, and one of those times, like Jess helped out on set, and one of those times she was up doing her job on set, but I got out of the moment, and I was like, I need someone that I know, who I'm familiar with. I need some comfort right now. That was intense.
So it's great that you had Jess there for that.
To find Jess.
Yeah,
she was almost that, because people actually have that job on set to be that comfort for.
What sort of support was there on set? Did they say, look, let us know when you feel comfortable enough to be able to start shooting. We'll give you a bit more time. Was that a part of it?
The director and the cinematographer who were a duo, they were a team in this. I got familiar with them and we became very friendly very quickly, and we were all comfortable with each other. Everyone on set was great and friendly, and I dealt with those scenes by joking around with the guys straight afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
You can't sit in that moment too much. Obviously, before you start taking, you got to get in the headspace. You can't just joke and say, oh, action, oh, okay, I've got to be, oh, sad. No, it's not going to work. But straight after, when jumping into making jokes, let's talk about something else, really helped as well. And having Jess there helped a tremendous amount as well. But just everyone on set was so comforting. And
one thing that another thing we get consistent feedback on is, staying busy as actors, not waiting for the phone to ring and the agent to call you and all that, to actually be out there doing stuff, being engaged. And I think that there's several layers to that, engaged in your industry. So knowing who's who in the industry, the casting directors, the Q&As, the events, the industry affiliated events, Australian television, Australian films, what's being made locally. And I think that's one part of it. And another part is, a dialogue with the agent, what's happening at the moment? What are you looking for? What are you hearing that people need? Do I need to refresh anything? And then there's the actual staying on your feet and staying work fit, audition ready, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I felt culprit to that as well sometimes. You got to keep those accents up. You got to keep that skill up. You can't just be like, oh, I've got an audition for an American role, better brush up on my accent. You don't have time for that. And I definitely fall culprit to that, but that's a good point. That's a very important factor, I think.
Yeah, because then, the more you're engaged every way possible in the industry, the more you're learning all the time, and the more you're out there letting everyone know you're work fit and ready for opportunities should they come your way. And
Yeah.
then when they do, you're ready to rock and roll.
100%.
Fun tips here at Two Unemployed.
Always.
Constructive.
Always. You got to listen to the Two Unemployed guys. I mean, whoops, that came out wrong.
I'll give you a writing update too. I've almost finished the scenes for the pilot episode. I'm so excited. So I'm just about to get back to the script and
Very cool.
put pen to paper and finish the pilot script. I'm super excited and getting permission to film. I'm still chasing that permission to film in the space, which will save any production money that make it easier for me when I'm pitching. But
I heard getting ready to film in space. I was like, that's ambitious. Man. That's very ambitious.
First I've got to build my spaceship, and then I'm starting with Lego, and it's just
talk to Elon Musk. Yeah.
It's a 1,000 step plan.
You're gonna build your spaceship out of Lego.
Well,
get up there with Freddy.
I'll glue it together. I'm not an amateur.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh god.
Maybe filming in the space in my brain. Plenty of that.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We've got lots of exciting stuff coming up. You're listening to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And you'll hear us next week. Bye.
Two unemployed actors.